You know, people were saying that the Acolyte Episode 3 was going to destroy Star Wars weeks ago. And I frankly thought it was overblown then, and even as I was watching Episode 3, I felt like it was overblown. Like, the episode sucks. It's my least favorite episode of the show. It's pretty bad just overall. And yes, it is clearly agenda-driven and self-inserted and all of that. But honestly, I've said this before, but a lot of that stuff doesn't matter to me. I just want to know, is it good, right? That's how I operate. So I watched the third episode, and I didn't think that Star Wars was destroyed. I didn't think the lore was destroyed. I didn't think that all of the stuff that George Lucas had built had been disregarded. And then I looked out online, and I saw anger, the likes of which I have never seen. And that's saying a lot when it comes to Star Wars. And then I saw a poll, a piece of data that shocked me. And this is something that I think is undeniably a problem. And if I were Lucasfilm, if I were Bob Iger at Disney, and I saw this out there, I would be terrified. Absolutely terrified. And here it is, right here, a poll done by Grace Randolph, and the poll says, are you interested in any upcoming Star Wars projects? And the choices are Mando and Grogu movie, Filoni movie, which you will see is what I voted for, and then yes, and list below, and then the fourth and final option, no, I'm done. Now, obviously, this isn't the most scientific poll, but it does have 16, almost 17,000 votes. And I think a lot of the people that follow Grace are usually a little bit more optimistic. They try to be positive about these different things. But the results of this poll are shocking. They shocked me. They shocked many people out there. I mean, this is unbelievable. Over 50% of the almost 17,000 people that clicked on this poll literally said, no, I'm done. And if you go read the comments on this post, it is crazy, dude. It is a eulogy. People are over it. And you know, this whole thing just reminds me of one of my favorite sayings, and that is the market decides. I've got my perception, my opinions, my feelings. You've got your perception, your opinions, and sometimes we're wrong. Like, I thought Dungeons and Dragons, the movie, would make $1 billion and be this massive smash success, especially after I saw it. I was like, dang, this movie's incredible. It's even better than I thought. It should be $1 billion movie. Hollywood thought that the latest Mission Impossible movie would be a surefire hit. I mean, you've got Tom Cruise, you got the Top Gun Maverick effect. People love the Mission Impossible films, and it bombed because the market ultimately decides. What is the market? The market is the collective force of how the different individuals add up. And you know, for the longest time, I've been wondering, like, what does Star Wars dying even actually look like? All these people that are saying they're actually done with Star Wars, what does that mean? Like, what's that going to look like? And I'm a person that has felt like Star Wars has been on a steady decline pretty much since The Last Jedi, to be honest. And I guess I don't know for sure that the anger that everyone's currently feeling about Acolyte Episode 3 will translate into a lack of ticket sales, into a lack of viewership on their shows, a lack of merchandise sales. I don't know for sure, but I think we know for sure that people are really mad right now, maybe more mad than they have ever been. I do know that Star Wars is going to be going back to the movie theater in the next couple of years for the first time since The Rise of Skywalker, since Kathleen Kennedy told Bob Iger she needed a break from making movies because she saw a decline and they needed to recalibrate. And I also know that the next two movies, which will both apparently come out in a singular year, will be The Mandalorian and Grogu, which appears to be a spin-off of the Mandalorian show, and then the Rey movie, a spin-off of the series that was so bad that they had to take a break to figure out what they were going to do with the movies next. And I also know, I think I know that making the most divisive Star Wars content since The Last Jedi, as you're trying to promote the movies that you're doing and you really need to succeed, I know that that's just not a good idea. You know, there are still people within the Star Wars fandom that want to act like Star Wars is completely fine, like there's nothing bad happening, and all the people that are frustrated with Star Wars have like wrong think and they're bad people. But I think we've kind of come to this really interesting part in the story of Disney Star Wars. And I've seen a lot of accounts that used to go way easier on Star Wars and be way more positive that have come around to understanding that we're just being fed mediocrity, meteorites. We're being fed mid. I don't have to name the names. You probably know, and you've seen a shift in the conversations around Star Wars. And yes, it has gotten to a really weird place where people are so frustrated, like they're so angry that they're a bit out of pocket online. I mean, I'm definitely one of those people, right? I've said some wild shit online, and it's because I love Star Wars, and I can't believe what's happening to this brand and to this franchise. And I think, unfortunately, Lucasfilm, instead of recognizing that, like, wow, that's some crazy passion for, like, grown adults to be talking like that, that's wild. Maybe we should take some of that into consideration. They instead tried to label all of that and all of those people as super toxic and wrong think and not real Star Wars fans. Like, here's what it is for me, right? I would have told you before The Acolyte that Lucasfilm and the way they've run Star Wars has been the worst example in the history of IP and big media ever. This is a monumental fuck up, a decline and a destruction of a brand, the likes of which we have never seen. And yet I still tried to give Acolyte a fair chance, and I honestly liked the first 2 episodes. I know people can't believe it, but I thought the first 2 episodes were kind of cool. And episode 3 is so bad. Like, I can't believe how bad it is considering how risky they went. Right? I mean, yes, they do have maybe lesbian forced conception thing, and that feels like a self-insert and an agenda, right? And that's going to piss some people off. But beyond that, you're also treading on the sacred ground of the chosen one and of that birth. And look, I happen to think it doesn't actually destroy the Anakin thing, but it's obviously a very risky, emotional thing that's a huge piece of the lore. To tread around that thing is ballsy and risky. So I was thinking, like, at the very least, they're gonna make it awesome because duh, like, they want to sort of hedge their bets and make sure it's really freaking enjoyable, you know, and treat with a lot of care, time, energy, money. And it's Goobly Club. It's one of the worst episodes of television I've ever seen. Like, not even the bar of standard put in the background, forget about your worries kind of content. And you know, the joke, the sort of running joke for the last couple of years is that Kathleen Kennedy's like Palpatine. She's like immortal. It doesn't matter how badly Lucasfilm up, they're just gonna keep her around because nobody else wants the job. Nobody else could maybe even do the job. And Lucasfilm, because of all the hate she got, feels like they have to kind of protect her and protect her legacy. And for me, it's kind of gotten to the point where even if they get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, I don't see that as good enough anymore, especially with multiple films and shows that were greenlit essentially by her. So it's like, even if she walked away today, we would still get all of these shows, all of these products that her fingerprints were on. And the culture that she created at Lucasfilm is going to persist. And look, I love Dave Filoni, and I think Dave Filoni does the best work out of anybody over there at Star Wars right now. He understands it better than anyone. He's the most like George Lucas out of anyone there. But I also think Dave would just carry on the legacy of Kathy, and therefore, I don't even know if it's going to be better if Dave takes control. But you'd have to believe that the box office for the next 2 movies will impact how that brand moves forward and what Disney does with that brand. I mean, ultimately, Disney purchased that for $4 bajillion, right? They've got to have it functioning correctly. You cannot buy an asset like that and allow it to be devalued to the point that it is right now. And if these 2 movies bomb in the box office coming up, then drastic change has to happen. Something absolutely drastic would have to happen to Lucasfilm to even give consumers out there the possible scenario that things would be different. That's essentially what you're looking for in a rebranding. And I mean, looking at the results of this poll, I feel like these movies are not going to do well. I mean, seriously, this is just the latest cut to 1,000 cuts that have essentially killed Star Wars for many people out there and potentially killed Star Wars as a commercially viable IP, right? Like, and I could honestly, dude, I don't know. I couldn't believe that would be the case. I still kind of don't believe it's the case, but this data is crazy. This poll is crazy. So is Star Wars dead? I'm not sure, but I do know that every single Star Wars project feels like coming into a funeral parlor where Kathleen Kennedy beats a corpse. And sometimes the movement of the corpse from the impact resembles some of the life that was within Star Wars before. And the question is, how many times will that magic trick work? Anyway, I just wanted to give my thoughts on this because it's all anybody wants to talk about right now, and this poll did legitimately shock me, and I'm having all these thoughts about what could actually happen with Star Wars, what needs to happen, etc., etc. So let me know your thoughts about all this in the comment section below, and as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.